Huge Movie Fanatic Nate coming at you in mid-October 2016 for a world-famous movie review request. It's a very late one. It's almost half a year late. It's like 4 months after it was requested. A longtime viewer of this channel by the name of Duckman1979, who I think formerly was known as Duckman XXX, requested on my, I think Cloverfield review in May of this year, if I've reviewed or would review Diary of the Dead rather. And I said, yeah, I'll rewatch it and do that soon. I said that in a comment responding 4 months ago. And what happened was, I guess I just kept forgetting about it. I should have grabbed the Blu-ray out and just put it in a pile somewhere where I'd remember. But anyway, the reason why I forgot to, or I didn't review it up until now is because I kept forgetting about it. So I dug out the Blu-ray, which I had bought, they put dates on here. It looks like maybe August of 2014. I got for $2 at Half Price Books on the clearance movie Rolly Rack, formerly a Blockbuster exclusive. I don't know what that means. I don't know why they call it a Blockbuster exclusive. Like the Blu-ray wasn't available anywhere but Blockbuster. I'm not sure, but I had seen this movie, kind of back when it came out. I can't remember. It looks like it's 2007. I had seen this movie when it came out. I worked at a video store at the time. I probably rented it for free from the video store because I didn't really want to pay to see it. I had heard, probably obviously seen trailers on, gosh, was I even looking at YouTube at that time? Anyway, I'd seen trailers probably on YouTube. I think 07 was when I kind of first started YouTube. So I dug this Blu-ray out. Actually, this is the first time me seeing the Blu-ray, the first time seeing the movie for almost 10 years. I probably haven't seen it since 08 or something like that. Obviously with the trailer and stuff back in the day when it was coming out, obviously you could tell, it was well known that obviously it shows in the movie, or the trailer as well, that this is like a found footage zombie movie. It's interesting to note that normally when there's a found footage movie done, it's kind of done by people who, hadn't really done anything before, as far as I can, really tell. In a lot of cases, maybe not every case, because I haven't seen, as I've said before, I haven't seen every found footage movie because I don't really like them. And this is kind of interesting because obviously George Romero, goes back to the 60s and 68, I think, when Night of the Living Dead came out and stuff like that. So it's interesting having a filmmaker who's, quote-unquote established, who's been making movies for decades, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, like 5 decades at the time when this movie was made, he's been making movies. So it's interesting seeing an established filmmaker, kind of segue into a found footage genre, because it's kind of cool, because it's like, okay, I've made normal movies, now I can make up one of these. These are kind of what's going on now, let's do this. And not being a fan of found footage movies and working at a video store at the time, that's why I didn't want to pay to see it. I kind of reluctantly rented it and was like, it didn't blow my ass off. I think I did end up getting it previously viewed on DVD, maybe months or years after I'd seen it. I don't think I'd ever watched my DVD of it. And then obviously in 2014 I came across the Blu-ray of this particular title for $2. I'm not going to pass it up for $2. As I stated, this is the first time I watched a Blu-ray just tonight, and onto the review, actually, believe it or not. It's probably 5 minutes into the review now, and I'm just starting the review. So Diary of the Dead, whatever. So I put it in, and first off, I don't need to say I'm not a fan of found footage movies. I already did that, but I don't particularly like whatsoever this girl who narrates it, the girlfriend of, I think she's a girlfriend, I think so. I think she's a girlfriend of this, what's his name, Jason, the guy who's primarily filming, the majority of the movie and the one who you see the least. I don't like this girl. I don't like her narration, like her, just whatever bland, bleak narration. I don't like the girl for some reason. Like the blonde I like the blonde more. Unfortunately for me, like these characters are all just, this in my opinion, the acting in this is, it's very staged, the whole thing's staged, and even with just kind of the more traditional lighting that happens to take place. Oh, another thing that makes this movie seem much more of a production than actual found footage, is like the dialogue. You can hear everyone's dialogue perfectly crisp, like everyone's wearing a mic, and there's even a scene where this character towards the end of the movie gets in the Winnebago, and she's like, shuts the door, and the guy's filming through a window, and she's like, I'm taking this, thing, you can have the house. And it's like, the door is shut and the window's, in front of, between us and her, but you can hear her perfectly. It's just like one of my problems with this movie, technical issues, is when you're doing a found footage movie, personally, in my opinion, unless the characters are mic'd in the actual movie itself as a part of, the actual movie, it should be the audio that is, the audio for the dialogue should be recorded by a microphone on the camera. Like, it shouldn't be like, because amazing, like, hearing everyone's dialogue perfectly 100%. Even that little bit of footage at the very beginning of the movie with the cops that's supposedly shot by some news reporter cameraman. I mean, even the cops, when the cops are not going to be mic'd, in that situation, and the cops' dialogue is perfect. It's just, so yeah, I've complained about technical stuff like this, like probably in like a Paranormal, I don't know if it was 3, whatever, was supposed to be shot on VHS. Paranormal Activity 3 was supposed to be shot on VHS, and it's clearer than that. I mean, like, if you're gonna do a found footage movie, have it be like, I don't know, have it sound and look like that, first off. So I don't know, I didn't really, that's kind of a gripe I have for this movie. Also, the acting is stiff. One thing that does get a pass for this particular movie, on a positive note, is that, I think the tongue is relatively firmly placed in the cheek with this movie. I think that, George Romero is probably a little smarter and brighter than the majority of mainstream filmmakers and stuff working. So I do kind of like the sensibilities or the sense of humor, but we'll just say, like, I don't know, just the care. We'll just say that, every movie's kind of got a character or personality. I kind of like this movie's personality, because it is very much like almost like a fan, almost like it plays like a fan film. I mean, it's like he does nods to himself, like at the beginning, when they're shooting that fake mummy attacking that blonde chick in the corset dress thing. It's like zombies is kind of his way of probably responding to the running zombies that took place in the remake of Dawn of the Dead and other things since. Probably I'm not really up on 21st century zombie shit. They're really overdoing it in my opinion. I don't really like zombies anymore. But I think that Dawn of the Dead remake was kind of one of the first movies, if not the first big movie, to really start this running zombie shit. And, obviously George Romero is kind of credited, if not as being the guy who really started zombies in general, but one of the people who started zombies. And he should know how a zombie is. And I personally prefer the slow zombies myself, because whatever, it just seems to go with the whole zombie, lore, and just having them be, if you're dead, you're not going to be all sprinting around like some, Olympic athlete, Olympian person. So this review is kind of going all over the place. Yeah, at the beginning, obviously, this character whom I don't like, the girlfriend of this Jason character, sets up verbally with like voiceover that, this is what we've documented, and I added music for effect. That's one of my complaints. Back to the complaint department. That's one of my complaints about this movie as well. I generally don't think found footage should have any kind of accompanying music at all. I think that's kind of a cop-out, a way to do found footage, but then at the same time try to do a little bit of conventional movie making. So I think that's kind of a cop-out. I think the one time it worked was towards the end, when in a kind of a homage to the way the movie begins with they were actually making a fake student movie where this guy dressed as a mummy was chasing this chick. At the end of the movie, that guy really turns into a zombie in real life in a kind of cool, switching, or what's it called, ironic switching of events. That guy ends up dead and coming back to life for real, chasing the same blonde girl. And the guy's like, see, zombies really do just walk, and go slow or whatever. I don't know where I was going with that point, gosh darn it. So through a miracle of modern technology, I was able to actually go back and rewatch the video and see where I was actually going with that point. It turns out I was simply saying that I felt that the music, actual kind of score music that this girlfriend of this Jason guy was, added, she said at the beginning of the movie that she added some music for effect. I thought that's just kind of, I thought that was lame. I personally wouldn't have done that. And like I was saying, it kind of just worked during that one scene at the end where the actual dead mummy was chasing the girl, and she kind of got in the Winnebago, and it was like southern Texas music or something like that. It's kind of a tongue-in-cheek kind of funny moment. The I'm kind of torn. I mean, the movie, I guess it's probably one of the better found footage, lower budget found footage movies. I'd say maybe it's my second favorite under Cloverfield. Like it might be my second favorite under Cloverfield. I guess it does kind of keep moving. I guess it could have, in my opinion, could have been maybe 10 minutes shorter or something like that. I mean, it does keep moving, and they George Romero still, he has some of the best kind of, cool zombie kills, even, pulling out of his hat, even like 40 years later, or however many years later this is after the original Night of the Living Dead. And they kind of make sure to slowly, make them better and better and better as the movie goes on, where they get cooler and cooler. I like that one, which was kind of nonsensical. Well, I guess the Amish guy, having been bit, maybe realized that he's going to turn into a zombie himself. So in order to both kill the zombie that bit him and make sure he doesn't come back, he takes the sai or whatever he's got and shoves it through his head in return, only to see that it not only killed himself but the zombie with it. It was just kind of like ridiculous fun kill that just kind of makes you smile. Enhanced. There's a lot of CG gore in this, which I'm kind of, generally I don't like CG gore, but the CG gore in this movie, except for like some of the bullet hits that could be done practically, is in a lot of cases stuff that couldn't be done any other way than CG gore. With one of the cool zombie kills is the hydrochloric acid bottles smashed on the guy's bald head, and the guy's just like and his this acid is slowly burning into his skull and into his brain, and through CG effects and stuff, we kind of actually see where part of his head is gone when he, just for a brief moment before it falls down and stuff like that. And also shooting a zombie through the head and then having like the barrel of the gun go through the zombie and then shoot other zombies with the head hanging off the barrel of the gun. Now these kind of just cool ideas for zombie kills and dispatching zombies and stuff like that are some of the highlights of the movie. Generally I found a lot of this movie to be, I don't know, as far as, correct me if I'm wrong, but like the movie starts with this Jason character with one camera, and then at the hospital they find another one, and it seems like towards the end of the movie there's all kinds of coverage from like more than two cameras, and as far as I'm concerned they only have two, save for like the security stuff towards the end in the big house and stuff. So I don't exactly, maybe I missed something, but I thought there was only like two cameras in this movie, minus the little girls, the blonde girl's like cell phone video camera, which every time they show that they have it all small. It's like crappy quality and stuff like that. So my biggest, a lot of my gripes with this movie is like technical stuff, like just perfect sound capturing of everyone's dialogue. In a lot of cases, traditional kind of backlit just lighting, when found footage movies should just be more raw and crap like that and stuff like that. So yeah, it's funny because the movie ends in a very profound way with that shot of the rednecks, very much like he did like 30 years earlier in Dawn of the Dead, when he had the hillbillies stringing people up and were basically using them as target practice as kind of a social commentary. I didn't feel this movie really had much of that normal Romero social commentary until the very end, when they showed those videos of them guys doing that, and that really memorable shot of the woman zombie being at the very end hung from a tree limb by her hair, and the guy shooting her and like right here around like the face, and her body falls off, and like since her brain is still intact, like her eyes are looking back and forth. And the line that closes the movie by narrated by the girl I really don't like is are we worth saving, you tell me. And the movie ends with this like profound like social commentary, which it would have been nice if it had been more weaved through the movie. I guess one could argue that it kind of was when we see news clippets and all this kind of stuff, throughout the movie and stuff like that. But the movie's kind of lackluster, and all of a sudden that one image of those rednecks shooting that zombie woman, and her head hanging there, it's very profound, and The characters I found particularly uninteresting. That professor British guy I thought was yeah, I didn't really like any of the characters. The characters really didn't have any character, they didn't really differentiate from, each other, in my opinion. One of the things I kind of liked is at the hospital when the guy's like, gives the gun to someone else, he's like, here, take this, it's too easy to use, or something like that, and then like moments later someone, I think that girl, the girlfriend of Jason or whatever, gives a video camera to someone, here, take this, it's too easy to use. Kind of the comparing, like, because with a gun in a video camera, you do the same thing, you shoot with it, you shoot, whether it's bullets or footage. It's kind of interesting that Romero weaved in that little bit of comparison between the two. Romero's generally, from what I find, generally kind of a bright guy. That's why, I don't know, I guess it would have been nice if this movie would have been a little more, I guess, saturated with just more social commentary and profound things. I don't know how that would happen necessarily, but I just think he missed a great opportunity to do that. So at the end of the day, I guess we'll just, I think I gave Cloverfield 2 stars. So since I'm going to go 1 3/4 stars out of 4 stars for Diary of the Dead. And like I say, the zombie, they keep coming up with cool zombie kills, like when that girl I don't like brother, younger brother attacks her in the house, and the professor guy, archery guy, shoots him and shoots the kid in the head with an arrow, and sends him flying up against the wall, and arrow attached to the wall and stuff. The zombie kills are, in my opinion, probably the highlight of this movie, and you kind of have to wait in between scenes to see him or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I guess the movie keeps moving along and stuff and going to different locations and stuff, but the characters are all so boring and drab, and like her narration is so boring and drab that it's just kind of a boring and drab movie. So I guess that's my review of George A. Romero's Diary of the Dead. I think it's probably his only found footage movie. I think if I'm not mistaken. It's interesting, like I say, seeing a seasoned filmmaker do try a found footage movie, and the ironic thing is he probably did it a lot better than a lot of other people. Definitely some smart ideas and stuff like that. I appreciated some of the dialogue from some of the characters, and when they're referring to the news as being bullshit, which is very true. This movie does, kind of subtly depict that fact that, the spin that news tries to put on shit, and news just being bullshit, and I concur, I agree with that. So this movie does try to say, I guess, or does say some commentary, social commentary about things, be it just human nature, as all the George Romero movies tend to do. This one finds it a little more difficult because the only way it can really do it is just with, like, I don't know, that news footage and her narration and all this kind of stuff and that. But so thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.